Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what is happening, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, my thoughts on the charts, etc., 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 I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open. I mean, again, every single day the market is open, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks as well in the first tier, which is just $3 a month, or for $5 a month, you get access to everything in the first tier, and then you also get access to, of course, everything in the second tier, which is NVIDIA daily updates as well. But with that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, jumping into a Tesla closing the day up ever so slightly, up about 0.24% on the day, closing just shy of $400 per share. So what does this ultimately mean moving forward? Now, we know Tesla is, of course, going to be reporting earnings tomorrow. Tomorrow is a massive, actually, like a huge day in the market. Why? Because we have a lot of earnings. I think Tesla's reporting. I think Microsoft is reporting. Meta is reporting. Is Amazon reporting tomorrow? No, Amazon's much later. Yes, I think it's those three. Apple is the day after that. Yeah, I think it's just those three reporting. Three big ones, though, nonetheless. And as if that wasn't enough for Tesla stock, we also, of course, have FOMC tomorrow as well, which is going to be wild, to say the least, right? So, you know, there could be some volatility, there could be some traps up and down, both directions as per usual. But mainly speaking for Tesla stock, what does it mean moving forward? Well, again, with earnings tomorrow, it's a big question mark, right? I'm not gonna, again, like I said before, and I'll continue saying it again, you know, we did get that bounce off of my roughly, 390-ish level, but the bounce hasn't been significant, I'll be honest, right? The bounce has been pretty muted for the most part, as it seems like, they are essentially gonna be forcing us to wait for FOMC and or really earnings especially. So, my overall target is this. I'm going to make this one as simple as possible because ultimately, again, when it comes to earnings, especially on a stock like Tesla, technical analysis is, not as effective, right? Because it's too big of an unknown, right? It's arguably one of the biggest unknowns for any stock, especially for Tesla stock, especially considering, like I said, we are reporting earnings for the very first time in history while being at pretty much $400 per share. Tesla has never been at this price level ever and reported earnings. So it's an even bigger question mark ultimately. So let's talk about it, right? So if earnings goes well, let's say Tesla does have a positive reaction for earnings, right? I personally believe Tesla will most likely make its way back up to the top of this overall range, which will probably bring us somewhere around that 440-ish level. If we break above 440, I think we'll see about 460, break above 460, we'll see 490, and close above 490, we should make our way well into the 500s. Now, the first target, of course, will be about 440 to as high as 460. Well, that's my main, I would say, target area for Tesla stock post earnings, right? So let's see how that actually ultimately plays out. The downside, unfortunately, though, is if Tesla's earnings goes poorly, my main target to the downside is going to be somewhere around here, which is going to be somewhere around, 350s, give or take $10, I would say. So anywhere between 340 to 360, right? That'll be my main downside target for Tesla post earnings, which from here would be a drop of about 12%, which, I mean, it doesn't even seem like it's 12% lower, but it actually is, right? It feels like it's only like 4% lower just looking at the chart. It doesn't feel like it's that much lower, but it is, right? So that would be my downside target, 360 to 340, somewhere in that range, right? Would be my downside target. Now, obviously, the issue here is the fact that, we are, again, essentially creating two patterns within each other that are extremely contradicting, right? Because we had this massive move up, we consolidated on decently lower volume, we broke out, arguably came back and retested it, the bull flag breakout, right? And in theory, this earnings can be the trigger that actually executes this bull flag pattern, and we do make our way back up into the high 400s, for instance, right? But the issue is the fact that you can also just as easily make an argument that this move to the downside right here is now essentially creating what is obviously a bear flag. And now we're essentially consolidating within this bear flag like this, right? And we could have the earnings essentially trigger this bear flag. And again, if things get really, really bad, I'm not saying they will, but if they do, right, this bear flag, technically speaking, assuming we break down from it, right, and assuming it follows it to fruition, does technically have a target all the way back down to somewhere around $280 per share, which is actually where that 200 EMA is currently sitting at, around $290 per share. Pretty much a visit to the 200 EMA, which is, again, around 290, right? Technically speaking, it does have that, potential, if you will. Now, again, it's earnings, it's Tesla earnings. You don't know, I don't know, nobody knows, right? Who knows how it's going to actually play out, right? It's impossible to say. But like I said, If I had to absolutely pick a direction, I do actually lean slightly downwards, mainly because I don't like the fact that we're still decently far away from the weekly mean reversion, which is currently sitting at 340. So at the very least, I'd want to see Tesla move down to about that 350s-ish range, which would revert it back to the mean on the weekly as well. And that would be really good. And of course, the daily in that case will also be very much oversold. And I actually think if we do move down to about 340, that alone could be a pretty decent opportunity to potentially go long. But again, you have to take into consideration the fact that there is going to be that risk of that bear flag playing out all the way down to about 290, 280, something like that, right? Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I generally don't know, but those are the overall scenarios. So I'm kind of giving my bullish and bearish perspective post earnings, and at this point, let's just see what happens, right? I mean, that's really all you can do when it comes to something like Tesla's earnings. We just kind of let it do its thing, and you let fate really ultimately decide, right? So that's probably my overall main perspective on Tesla stock moving forward and moving into what obviously could be an absolutely astronomical day with FOMC, a lot of big tech earnings, and of course Tesla's earnings themselves. Granted, the volume has substantially decreased. Like today's volume, abysmally low. One of the lowest volume days we've seen in a very, very long time. Extremely, extremely, extremely low volume, which again, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing or a good thing. I think it just means the fact that clearly a lot of people are waiting for FOMC and earnings. So yeah, that's probably my main perspective. I mean, I don't really think there's much more to say. I mean, the MACD is still bearish. We have the stochastic that just crossed bearish, but it is in the middle, so I wouldn't put as much weight into it, right? RSI is close to oversold, but not there just yet. But again, most of these indicators, they generally don't mean anything with something like earnings. Earnings is just that much of a massive question mark, right? So let's just see how it plays out. But again, if I absolutely had to pick a direction, I unfortunately do lean to the south side. 360 to 340 is my main price targets. Worst case is of course 280, 290. But again, that's only if I absolutely had to pick, right? I'm actually not even playing the earnings. I'm just gonna sit back and watch, have a long-term portfolio. If we rocket post earnings, great, I'll make money. If we move down, yeah, the long-term portfolio will take a hit, absolutely. But I will now enter on my trading account as well. And yeah, that's all I got for you. So let me know what you think down below. In terms of options flow, of course, as per usual, take a look at options flow and see what's happening there. For the most part, pretty muted. Yeah, the options flow on Tesla stock lately has been very, very muted, very slow, very boring. Nothing really to write home about. 1.8 million call here, 1 million call here. But they're, several months to almost a year out. You have a 17 million put I saw somewhere here. Or sorry, 12.7, I should say, 12.7 million put. But it's like a few years out. It's a 600 strike. It's just... there's nothing to look at. I'll be completely honest. There's nothing to look at. That's a 14 million confirmed bullish flow. But again, none of it means anything with a day like tomorrow. Get that in your head. Make sure you understand that and make sure you don't do anything stupid, because I promise some people will, and I'm not going to be one of them. So anyways, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for a big day. Peace.